welcome to the best years of your life. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Sonia Olivas. I am the Premier Services Manager here for LifePharm Global Network. I would like to welcome all of you to the LifePharm Global Network for our monthly product call, the benefits of Laminine and how it works with our body. I would like to introduce our special guest speaker today for LifePharm Global Network, Platinum Director Rena Davis. Rena Davis is an owner, practitioner, individualized healthcare. She holds a Master of Science degree in biochemistry. She is specialized in the field of nutrition. Rena has a certification in herbology, homeopathy, and also a second degree in Reiki. She's also an author of several books and has written many research articles. Rena Davis also attended Portland Community College, UCLA, the University of Alaska, and Dominion. She believes in the true holistic health care. Thank you for joining us, Rena, and all the great information that you're going to be sharing with us today.
Well, Sonia, thank you for inviting me. Quite an honor.
Oh, thanks, Rena.
Where do we go from here, girl? I've never done the corporate call before, so this is a first for me.
You're just going to go ahead and cover the benefits of Laminine and how it works with our body.
Great. Well, that really kind of comes down several different channels, and I think that, preeminently it's one of the things that I appreciate so much about what we have in Laminine. It's very hard to get any kind of a supplement that can have such a diverse effect on the various chemistries of the human body with anything. And then to know that Laminine very much affects those chemistries that direct other chemistries in the body really does put it apart. Laminine, I think probably everybody's heard this call and has heard these things before, but we'll review it. When I first learned about Laminine, I got excited straight away because it was a natural protein supplement. And by that I mean derived from a whole food or whole foods. There are many amino acid formulas out in the marketplace today, or protein formulas, but most of them are made on manufactured amino acids, and they do have value. But, my years in working with Dr. Robert Pollack, Professor Emeritus Biochem, Temple University, and others, we learned back in the 1980s, 90s, and early 2000s that when proteins were from whole food sources, that you got more octane for your buck. In other words, we could take, for example, extracted phenylalanine from soy or from fish or any other protein source, and we could give 250 milligrams and get a therapeutic effect. But if we worked with the amino acids that were manufactured, i.e. grown on bacterial fermentation, we had to use anywhere from 4 to 10 times as much to get the same therapeutic effect. It's interesting, the body does identify with food clearly. Now, one of the biggest benefits to me from Laminine is its ability to promote the production of serotonin. Now, serotonin is a neurotransmitter that's actually manufactured in the brain. And most people are deficient in serotonin because of the ever-present stresses that are in our lives. And in fact, one of Dr. Pollack's earliest studies on serotonin levels back in the 1980s showed that our population was not deriving enough of the right materials to increase the production of serotonin, which can lead to poor mood and depression, anxiety, and several other disorders. So when I learned we had a natural protein supplement that would support serotonin, I got pretty excited. And I got excited for more than one reason. Serotonin certainly does promote good, healthy sleep, and we know that in the first couple of hours of sleep is when the body does the greatest amount of repair and regeneration. So it's pretty logical then to assume that if we're not resting well, we're not sleeping well, we're not sleeping deeply, dreaming, and waking up alertly in the morning, well, then that is going to affect our health. And you know what? There's been lots of studies that show that even mild deprivation of sleep and rest can have a very significant effect on the body's ability to be well, active, and healthy. Serotonin also increases the body's ability to cope with pain. It allows us to cope with stress without beating the stuffings out of our body. This is very significant because stress tends to make the body go acid. And if we look around the world today at a number of the conditions that people face, we begin to recognize that when we are in chronic stress, and that creates acidosis in the tissue, your body is completely capable of dealing with that. There's no doubt about it. If it couldn't deal with pH imbalance, we'd probably die within minutes from the time we were born. But at what price to us? You see, in order to chronically correct that pH, the body has to get the minerals somewhere. And when minerals to correct pH and antioxidants to correct the byproduct of pH imbalance is chronic, we begin to use up all of our food nutrients, nutrients as in minerals and antioxidants, to fight the chronic pH. And then we begin to have calcium deficiencies and other mineral deficiencies in other parts of our body. One of the best examples of this is what happens to the diabetic. Almost everybody today knows somebody with diabetes. It's become almost a plague in our society. And it doesn't take very long before we recognize that diabetics have some pretty serious side effects to sugar regulation problems. They develop neuropathy and retinopathy. They have greater risk of heart attack and kidney failure than almost any other physical stressor in the human body. And the reason for that is even a well-controlled diabetic with medication is still getting much bigger sugar swings throughout the day than a person who doesn't have sugar regulation problems. So now when our blood sugar goes high, the pH of the blood becomes quite acid. And so every day, day in and day out, the diabetic must spend that mineral and antioxidant bank account for chronically correcting pH of the blood. And so over time, those nutritional deficiencies begin to exhibit themselves as some of the side effects of diabetes. Well, stress does it too. And, the last 6, 7, 8 years have been some of the most stressful times in the United States culture. And indeed, some of that has gone worldwide. We've never seen in our lifetime such a jobless rate. We've never seen so many businesses close. We've never seen so many house foreclosures. We've never seen states that were bankrupt. We've never seen a time when there wasn't enough money to take care of our children's education, our elderly, and our sick. And so these create stresses that, whether they're happening to you personally or not, doesn't matter. It's basically an energetic that's out there that we're all being exposed to. Now, when stress stays chronic over a long period of time, the same kind of scenario sets up. We begin to deplete our nutrition bank account to cope with the imbalances that the stresses create in our life. That leaves a short supply for other services at the cell, system, and organ level. And over time, we begin to experience the symptoms of being overstressed. We don't sleep well. We crave sugar and carbohydrates, trying to calm the system down. And when we do sleep, we don't sleep deeply. Very often we wake up frequently. When this goes on for a prolonged period of time, it's not uncommon to see anxiety and other mood issues come into play. And the whole time, the effect on the body is, again, creating this acidosis. So, serotonin was designed by God to be one of those wonderful chemicals inside of each of us that helps us cope with these big swings and changes in stress. But the complications of something called nutrient competition in the body, less than optimal diet across the board pretty much in this country, has led to the body's inability to create enough serotonin to keep up. So serotonin is really the reason that I got very excited about Laminine. And then I began to learn about some of the other features that the product can offer to a body. The studies that have been done on regulation of cortisol. You guys all know by now that this is considered the death hormone, and the reason for that is frankly, it's highest when you die. But when it begins to elevate outside of normal healthy levels, it's associated with type 2 diabetes and other degenerative conditions known in the aging process. And we have an aging population right now. My group, the baby boomers, we're all hitting those years where these kinds of scenarios are very real. And if we look at the national statistics, it's rather frightening, the number of people who are going to become diabetic, the number of women who will have breast cancer, and the list goes on. And the scariest part is it's happening younger and younger. Conditions that we saw normally happen in 60s and 70s for the last couple of decades have been happening in 50s and 40s, and now even in our kids in school. And one of the ways that we can avoid that in the human chemistry is to regulate cortisol levels. And it's not easy when you're under chronic stress, because guess what? Once again, when serotonin goes down and chronic stress sticks around, the body starts to amp up that cortisol production. Cortisol isn't really a bad guy. He's actually a good guy, but like anything else, if the good guy's out of control, it can do bad things. It's in our body to give us the endurance that we need for fight-flight, so it serves a very valuable purpose. But when it elevates, it suppresses another hormone, adrenal hormone, called DHEA. DHEA has long been known as the mother hormone. And what that means is DHEA, protein-bound, can circulate around in your blood. And it's relatively easy for the body to convert DHEA into many other proteins that are also hormones, neurotransmitters, to help regulate the very processes that go on inside of each and every one of us that we actually never stop to think about. You know, those are pretty unique. So we have serotonin, which will regulate our stress, which will help balance our pH. That's pretty significant. It'll make us sleep better. That's pretty significant. It keeps us calm and helps us cope with pain. And, oh, by the way, it helps reduce those cravings for carbohydrates and sugar that are so prevalent in modern society today. Fibroblastic growth factor, you guys are going to learn lots more about these guys. I don't believe we've discovered all of them that exist in the human body, and some of them that we know are there, we still haven't figured out what in the world they do. But we do know that they are signaling proteins, and signaling proteins are sort of like sergeants in the human body. They can direct certain forces within our system to do certain jobs. So the fibroblastic growth factor that is in Laminine serves to create and encourage the utilization of nutrients and other chemical compounds in the body to promote healing and more rapid repair. This is something that I think you guys probably all know from all of the other wonderful speakers that have been involved with Laminine over the years. You know, there's another component to this product that I personally just find absolutely divine intervention, for lack of any better term. And that's its ability to keep our mood elevated. Now, from the get-go, that might not seem so much, but let me give you a couple of examples. One of the most famous published studies in all of America is the study of a woman who checked into a hospital in New York City with an extremely elevated blood sugar. If I recall correctly, it was well over 400. For a little lady, that's pretty high. There are bigger guys that can tolerate that and not go into coma, and gosh only knows why this woman didn't. And the hospital and the doctors did their duty. They checked the AC1 levels. They checked the fructosamine levels. They checked her kidney markers. They did everything to know exactly what was going on in that body and then try to help correct it. And giving her medications for correcting the blood sugar and so on is not an overnight fix. You know, this stuff has to build up in your system over a period of days and sometimes even weeks. Well, it also turned out that this lady was a little bit unique in that she had been diagnosed with multiple personality disorder. And something very interesting happened on the fourth day that she was in the hospital. The personality changed. Another person seemingly came forward, a split personality, if you will. When that person came forward, there was absolutely no imbalances in the chemical markers. The A1C had corrected, the alkaline phosphatase had corrected, the serum glucose had corrected, the fructosamine level, the spilling of protein in the urine, all stopped. That personality stayed around for a little while, and the other one came back, and immediately all of those chemical markers changed. But boy, a person might stop and think all kinds of things about this type of a scenario. But it was an eye-opener in the field of science, and it was also an eye-opener in the field of psychology. And it points the finger to what we think with our brain, what our attitude is. If you want to go back in my time, it kind of all started with Jonathan Livingston Seagull, several others, Deepak Chopra, mantras, visualization, positive affirmation. We have absolutely learned that the power of the mind can have some pretty phenomenal effects on the human physiology. One of the things that I've done for myself with Laminine is that on more stressful days, I increase how much I take. Sometimes I take 3 a day, sometimes I take 6 a day. It kind of depends on what's going on. And when I do that, I find that I am not stressed. I'm not pinning my ears to the side of my head with my shoulders. And I'm out there, even under stress, with a pretty doggone good attitude and a person that is ever easy to laugh and see the brighter side of things. In my walk and in my discipline and my study of something called quantum mechanics, which is the study of the effect of the energy on things and people and animals and plants, it seems to me that this is a very important part of maintaining health and even sometimes achieving health. We've looked at all kinds of things over the years. We've had all kinds of examples of what can happen when you believe, when you are happy, when you are smiling and whistling. Dr. Valerie Victoria Hunt, UCLA, when she transferred from Columbia University to UCLA, her first assignment there was to either adapt existing medical equipment or create new medical equipment to see how fast a neurotransmitter travels through the body. Now we're going back into the 80s, so we're a little back in time for a lot of our listeners, perhaps. But what was really interesting about what Dr. Hunt did was she discovered that if you stub your toe, the brain knows there's pain before the neurotransmitter gets there to tell it. Now, prior to that time, it was always believed that the information transfer in the human body occurred only through neurotransmitters traveling down nerves, hitting neural endings, firing off acetylcholine, jumping to the nerve network, just like a telephone wire or a telegraph wire, and so this kind of rocked the entire community. What could possibly be going on? How is it that our brain knew the pain, was present, and began to react to it prior to the neurotransmitter getting there? Well, this sort of turned the whole world upside down, and science and psychology and physics and a lot of things started looking at other dynamics and other parameters in the human body. And it really did lead to this thought form of, think and grow rich, change your attitude, change your life. It all happened right around that time, and it was really precipitated by much of the work that Dr. Hunt had done. She eventually went on to be able to develop computerized equipment that would allow us to see the human energy field, not just Kirlian photography where we can see the outer edge of the energy field, but indeed the entire expanse of the energy field, and even be able to measure the frequency of what is now known as a chaos pattern, which is actually quite beautiful. Well, it's pretty interesting that it all started way back then. Now we move forward for a few decades, and we're beginning to understand that when we can keep the brain and the body in a relaxed state with a positive mental outlook instead of being angry or fearful or withdrawn, but we really can go out and feel comfortable communicating in our lives, in our communities, and in our families. It has an abject and profound effect on healing. Now, I can't tell you too many natural supplements that exist out there in the world that can have this kind of effect on a body that's under chronic stress, whether that be stress from finances, stress from family, stress from the community, the stress of pain, the stress of chronic illness. These all translate in the body in the same way in terms of depleting our stores of serotonin, elevating our cortisol levels, reducing our response time to almost everything from thinking and cognitive function to how quickly we can repair from an accident or an injury or even a surgery. To me, this is sort of the final part of the symphony that Laminine is all about, is that it gives us all of these things, and when we add that to a reasonably healthy lifestyle, that means eating a good diet, drinking good water, getting a little exercise, taking a walk, turn off the cell phone, turn off the TV, get a little giggle once in a while, and we really do start to end up with a way to maintain our health that prior to Laminine we just did not see. I even sat today for a while and thought, how could I, if I were to go into the pharmacy in my clinic, how many supplements would I have to pull off the shelf to try and duplicate the kind of action that we have? Well, I do have one compound that's been proven to lower cortisol. You got to take about 9 pills a day, but it works. We certainly know that for some people, 5-HTP can cross the blood-brain barrier and create serotonin, but that's less than 5% of the people who take it. We certainly know the amino acid L-tryptophan is heavily involved with the production of serotonin, and some people have found that supplementing L-tryptophan, the synthesized stuff, if you take it in high enough dose, can actually increase serotonin. But then what about this whole other part, this fibroblastic growth factor part? You're not going out there and find it anywhere else. It just doesn't exist. When we put all of these factors together and put it in what is literally a whole food that is not counterindicated to medication, it's not counterindicated to anybody unless you're allergic to peas, seafood, or eggs. And it's been interesting in my walk with this product that a number of people who have been diagnosed with egg intolerance find that they can take Laminine without any adverse effect. I think that is in part because of the purity of the product. A good example is the person who goes to the grocery store and buys a dozen eggs and eats one and gets a rapid heartbeat and upset stomach, indigestion, and gas. But if they go to a good health food store and get an organically grown, free-range chicken egg, they can eat that and have zero adverse effects at all. So the purity of anything that we consume, food or supplements, plays an enormous role on its effect, benefit, or side effect inside of the human body. So to go full circle, by the time I sat down today and tried to see what I would have to do to try and duplicate all of the potential benefits in Laminine, I would have to give you 11 supplements that would total over $300 for a month's supply. Wow, that's pretty significant. That's really significant, and I don't believe that I have anything in my inventory that I can give you that contains fibroblastic growth factor, especially one that can work on helping the body repair more rapidly, direct the services of even creating and releasing stem cells. We don't have another supplement that does that. There might be one in the future, but there certainly isn't one now. So for me personally, and in my clinical practice, it has been a very significant supplement, and one that I tell people, because we're not all the same. I tell people over and over and over again, Laminine is always working, whether you perceive it or not. Because in many cases, because this is a gift to the body, it's not a drug, it doesn't force a reaction, we send it in, it's a gift in a great big beautiful package with a gold bow, we give it to the body and we say, look, this is for you. And you get to do whatever you want with it. And you just don't know. I mean, we've had clients who have been on the product for 6 months before they could say, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, this is what my experience has been. We have other people that absolutely start sleeping better on the very first day, and other people within a few days are noticing that their their neck and shoulders don't hurt so much, or their old toe injury or knee injury isn't bothering them like it would generally do. And it's because inside of us there are all types of services that are going on a regular basis. And many of the things that need repair inside of us, if it's not advanced to the point of creating pain, and by that time you really are in trouble, the body is not going to have a symptom for it. So it can be working on these things, and then you are not aware of it. And I'll give you the first example I had early on with Laminine. I was so excited about this product that I gave it to a friend of mine. She's a really great gal. She takes her multivitamin diligently. She's active. She walks every day. But years ago, she was diagnosed with familial hypercholesterol anemia. That means that she had high cholesterol, and it was genetic, and there really wasn't anything anybody could do about it, and all of the anti-lipidemic medications she had adverse reactions to. So she's walking around with a cholesterol of 385 for years, and she was restricted in the type of activities that she could do. And she couldn't go skiing, and she couldn't go and do a lot of things that could potentially increase her blood pressure significantly. She could walk, but she couldn't ice skate, for example, which was something she absolutely loved, because with this high level of cholesterol also came the high blood pressure. Well, after 3 months, a little less than 3 months, she said, I'm just not going to take this anymore. I can't see that it's doing me one bit of good. I don't have any pain, so I can't talk about that. She said, I'm really not sleeping any better, and that was one of the things I was really hoping for. So she decided to give what she had left to her then 11-year-old golden retriever, who was starting to get up in the morning, stiff in the hips, having a hard time going down the stairs to go out and coming up the stairs to come back in. And after a very brief amount of time, she called me up and she said, this Laminine that I'm giving my dog, I'm wondering if we should maybe cut down how much we're giving him. And I said, well, Judy, why? She said, well, he's developed the habit of coming into the bedroom at 4 o'clock in the morning and dropping his big ball right on my belly, and he wants me to get up and play, and I want to keep sleeping. She said, maybe I quit taking it too soon. I said, well, you know what, maybe you did. As luck would have it, a couple of weeks after that, she was scheduled for her regular checkup with her doctor, which included blood chemistries. And 3 days later, the doctor's office called and said, geez, we don't know what happened, but something got messed up with your sample at the lab, and, can you please fast and come in and give us another sample? So dutifully she did. 3 days later, the doctor's office didn't call, the doctor called. And he said, I do not understand. I have been your doctor for years, and we have never seen this cholesterol come down 20 points. But all of a sudden, your cholesterol has moved down over 100 points, and I want to know what you've done. Well, the only thing that she'd done in those 3 months was added Laminine to her daily routine. And so, needless to say, she's back on it. And over the weeks and months after that, her cholesterol levels continued to come down, not to absolutely normal limits, but I will tell you, much, much safer levels, slightly over 200, than where she was when she started. Well, guess what? You don't feel your cholesterol drop. You don't feel your triglycerides drop. You don't feel a varicose vein forming. All of a sudden, one day it's there and you notice it in the mirror. So there can be things going on in your body that the body has prioritized that is more important than your achy shoulder or more important than something else, and it's always going to go to work there. When you think about taking 2 or 3 or 4 of these little 600 milligram capsules, and they're going to cover the services of trillions of cells in your body, it can take a little time for some people to experience that change in the symptom that they were looking for when they first started. We try to school all of our clients to the fact that, it may take a while. Putting that little amount in a body that is so complex and so excited, doing so many processes. I mean, we know the brain processes 450,000 bits of information per second. For those of you who are not familiar with that term, it means it doubles every time. And it's really going faster than that. That's as fast as our computers can clock it. So it's a very busy universe in there. And for some people, it does take longer. And it's been with great gratitude that I have appreciated a number of you out there in the field who have been willing to get on conference calls and share your story of being what we've now nicknamed the late bloomers. Now, it doesn't happen very often. Most people experience benefits within 90 days, and some of them within 3 or 4 days. But the thing that we've come to learn about this marvelous product is the truth is it's always working somewhere. Just give it time. When clients come into my office, very clearly I tell them this is a product that I recommend that you keep in your nutritional protocol for the rest of your life. Now, there aren't very many supplements out there that I'll do that with, but Laminine is one of them. And it has been my privilege to share in the journey of this company, in the growth of this product, in the experience that so many wonderful people that we know and appreciate, and many of you that we've only come to know over the telephone. It's been my honor and my privilege to be involved with this journey that we call Laminine. And I have to tell you, Sonia, I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen at LifeVention. I think it's going to be pretty doggone exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I think I've probably talked longer than I should. I'm going to hand it back to you.
You did great, Rena. Thank you so much. You've covered such great information. You know, every time, I hear a lot of product information, and, every time I hear it, it's like brand new to me because it's so amazing how Laminine, such an amazing product, benefits us in so many different ways. I love the experiences you gave and just the overall studies that you've done and you've seen. It's just so informative and really just really touching to hear such great things. I'm also looking forward to LifeVention. I want to encourage everyone to be there. It's going to be such a great event. When was the last time that you were a part of something that could help you change the lives of you and the people you know? Come and experience training opportunities from the best and the brightest. Learn innovative ways to grow your network and discover a new level of personal achievement. Fulfillment and success for financial to be there. Be a part of this. This LifeVention is for you, our IBOs, to train you, to teach you, to give you that information that's so vital for everyone to share this amazing product. And I know everyone has heard, some stuff that's going to be released there and all the great information that's going to be there. I want to invite you to go to the website that we have set up for LifeVention. It's lifevention.com, and there you can register for our locked price of $159 that ends 10/31. Also, you can book your LifePharm Global room. Right now, it's $135 per night. That ends on 10/16. So book your room now, and you can see the guest speakers that are going to be there and the agenda that we have there. So I would love to see all of you there and to just be able to share this experience with everyone. Rena, again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As always, it's such a pleasure to hear you speak and to have you on our LifePharm Global Network call and be a part of our family. And thank you, LifePharm Global Network family, for joining us tonight and being on this call. We appreciate you and your time. Good night.